Good morning. Welcome to math class on Monday, September 14th. Today, a lot of the work that you will be completing will be on your own, both on the computer and paper and pencil. So let's get started. We talked about this a little bit on Friday. By the way, it was great meeting everyone. I was so excited to meet you in person and for us to have our in-person learning. And I look forward to being in person with you again. But for today, it's called 1.1 Playing the Factor Game. Now, all of you have access to your textbook, to your connected math textbook. Remember, this one is prime time. It's that red little workbook. Well, actually, it looks like a workbook, but it's not a workbook. It is a textbook. It just has a soft copy. It's not a hard copy. So, or not a hard cover. So you can use that book, or you can just access this online, which can be found in the Google Classroom. We went over that on Friday. So let's get started. Playing the factor game is a fun way to practice finding factors of whole numbers. You may learn some interesting things about numbers that you didn't know before. So before we get started with the factor game, let's go ahead over here and let's review. Oh, I said before we got started with the factor game. Here we go. Let's do a little review on what factors are. Number one is asking us to draw as many arrays as possible for the number 10. As you learned last year, an array is simply a rectangle. Now remember, a square is a rectangle, which means that an array can be in the shape of a square. I'm going to start over here. The number is 10, and all that means is that I am going to use 10 tiles, right? So an array can be a marked array or an unmarked array. I'm just going to go ahead and do an unmarked array. So I know that this here could be labeled as 2, and then this one here can be labeled as 5. So I'm going to put a 5 here. And now we've got an array. This array is a 2 by 5 array made up of 10 tiles. Since 2 times 5 is 10, both 2 and 5 are factors of 10. Of course, with 10, I can also create a 10 by 1. All I have to do is just make it a little bit longer and a little bit skinnier, and this would be a 10 by 1 array, because we know that 1 times 10 is 10, and we know that 2 times 5 is 10. So the factor of 10 would be 1, 2, 5, and 10. Now they're asking us for number 2 to draw as many arrays as possible for the number 11. Well, we know that 11 is what kind of number? That's right, it's a prime number. So because it is a prime number, that means that there is only one way to make an array using 11 tiles. And that would be 1 by 11, which tells us that the only factors for 11 are 1 and 11, which means that 11 is right, prime number. Here they're asking us to list the factors of 28. Now, depending on which school you went to and who your teacher was, there's all different kinds of ways for us to list factors. Many of the 4th grade teachers, and we do it here in 5th grade as well, use what is called a T-chart, which means we put factors to the left and factors to the right. And when we multiply those numbers together, we get, in this case, our number is 28. So we get the factors of 28. Let's go ahead and do that. Hopefully, most of the time when we're listing factors, we start with smaller numbers. So 1 and 28 are already given factors. So you can add 1 and 28, especially if we're going to go ahead and make arrays, because you can make a 1 by 28 array. So 1 and 28 are both factors of 28. Then, of course, we would look at the next number, which is 2. We know that 2 and 14 can make 28. Then we know that 3 will not fit in evenly into 28, so we won't list 3. We'd go down to 4. We know 4 times 7 is 28. And that is one way that you can list the factors of 28. Why don't you go ahead right now on your paper, pencil, or on your whiteboard and go ahead and list all of the factors of 28. You can go ahead and do that, and I'm just going to list them out here. And you can check to make sure that you were able to list them all. How'd you do? Did you get 1, 2, 4, 7, and 28? Nice job. Let's keep going here. And one more, we're going to, oops, too far on that one. One more, we're just going to list out the factors of 14. So I'd like you to right now on your paper, pencil, whiteboard, marker, whatever you have, list the factors of 14. You can use your T-chart. I'm just going to go ahead and list them out for you. I'll give you a minute to do it on your own. Hopefully, you were all able to list those factors of 14 as 1, 2, 7, and 14. Of course, 1 times 14 is 14, and 2 times 7 is 14. I hope that helped with a brief review of factors. Let's go ahead now to the factor game. What you're going to do, let me go to where you would get this. You will get this on your classwork. So you'll go into the Google Classroom, right? This happens to be classwork for my other class, but you'll click onto your Google Classroom and you're going to see a link that will take you right here to the factor game. I've already posted it as an assignment. And this is what's going to come up. If you have someone to play this game with you, great, but please don't bug your parents because they're probably working and doing other things. So luckily for us, we have the option of playing against the computer. So then we don't need to bother anyone, but hey, this is a fun game. If your parents are available, go ahead and ask them to play, or maybe even an older sibling. But we're playing against the computer. So what I need to do is to choose a number. So I want to choose a number where I'm going to get the most points, but I don't want my opponent to get a lot of points. So I'm going to go ahead and start with 19. So I chose 19, but the only factor available for my opponent was 1. So you noticed how I chose a prime number? Because I knew that there was only one other factor. It's my computer's turn now. So go ahead, computer. It's your turn to, oh. I have to hit OK here. Okay. So the computer chose 25. Well, that was a good move because he got 25 points. Or she. I guess a computer would be it, right? It chose 25. So now my only option is 5. Can you think of any numbers that will fit evenly into 25? Me neither. All right, so we're going to hit OK. And now it is time for the computer to choose. Oh, hit OK again. Oh, no, it's time for me to choose, not the computer. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to choose another prime number. I'm going to choose 29. Why won't it let me choose? What's going on here? I already did 5. I hit OK, right? You can wait for them. Oh, it's not responding. Okay, we will wait. So that was just a little glitch there. It's deciding not to respond. Okay, so anyway, hopefully you get the gist. I'm choosing a number, and then my opponent needs to choose the factors that fit into that number. I'm going to come back to this. I'm going to let this, I think you guys know I told you that Pearson was having, or now it's Savas, was having some technical issues last week. Yeah, see? Page is unresponsive. You can wait for them. Oh, you know what? We're going to exit. So let's try that again. If you do have that issue, just let me know. You can play this paper and pencil. You can use a paper and pencil copy, but I always like the digital version. I think I told you about last week when they were having some issues. They did post an announcement on the website saying that they were having issues, but they were working on it over the weekend. Who knows? Maybe they're working on it today. So let's get back to what your job is today, which is, of course, to play the factor game. You're going to play against the computer or another person. Let me move that. And here we go. So the directions are here. You saw how player A chooses a number on the game board and circles it, which is what I did. I started with a prime number because I didn't want my opponent to get too many points. And then using a different color, player B circles all the proper factors of player A's number. Player B circles a new number, and player A circles all of the factors of that new number that are not already circled. The players take turns choosing numbers and circling factors. If a player chooses a number with no uncircled factors, that player loses their current turn and scores no points. The game ends when there are no numbers left with uncircled factors. Each player adds the numbers circled with his or her color. The player with the greatest total wins. Honestly, I think these directions are great, but I think if you just watched me play, that's even an easier way to learn how to play. I always learn better by watching someone rather than reading the directions. So hopefully that showed you how to play the game. So now, your work for today is to go ahead and, again, two options: access this through Google Classroom, or just go ahead and use the book with paper and pencil. Everybody learns in different ways, and everyone has a preferred way of expressing or recording their answers. Some people will choose paper and pencil. Some people will choose to do this digitally. Whatever works best for you is what's best for me. So I am fine with however you would like to show your outcomes or to show your answers. Record them on a Google Doc if you'd like, and share that Google Doc with me. So question number one, A1, how can you determine whether one number is a factor of another number? Question number two, if you know a factor of a number, can you find the other factor? Explain. So you are going to complete these. I am going to show you how to do it if you want to submit this digitally. Number three is asking you to make a list of the factors of 18. Then make a list of the divisors of 18. Are the factors of a number also the divisors of the number? Explain your reasoning. And lastly, you are going to give an example of a number that has many factors. Then give an example of a number that has few factors. Moving on now to C, how do you know when you have found all of the factors of a number? So basically, what strategy did you use? Explain that, and please make sure you're using complete sentences when you give me your answers. And that was all you needed to do. If you want to use a factor game board on paper, you may print this out. But again, I think it's just as easy, as long as you don't have a technical issue like I did. I think it's just as easy just to use the computer version. So your homework for tonight, so you're going to answer those questions, the ones that I just went over. So it's basically you're completing 1.1. In your book, you'll see 1.1. You'll see those questions. You're going to answer all of those. And then that would be what we're going to do in class. So that's the classwork. And then you also have homework. Let me go ahead over and show you where to get the homework. Honestly, for the homework, this is just my opinion, but I think it's so much easier to access the homework through the book instead of, this is super user-friendly, except for the fact that it's not always easy to find the homework, the ACE problems. So the ACE problems, let's see what page they're going to be on. You're just going to do ACE problems number 1 through 7. And this is how you will get to them if you choose to do them digitally. And oh, no, this doesn't tell me the page number. All right. I'm going to have to tell you what page it is. I'll post that in the Google Classroom. I don't have a book in front of me. So you are going to do question numbers 1 through 7. So it's ACE 1 through 7 was the homework. And then problem 1.1, playing the factor game and then answering those questions was your classwork. I'll make sure that's super clear when I put the directions into the Google Classroom. I hope that everyone has a great time doing this. I think prime time is a really, really fun unit. Please, 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 please come see me during office hours. I'll get really lonely if nobody comes to see me with any questions. So one of the things you can even do is, even if you completed all your work, you can come to office hours and show me your work, even if you don't have any questions about it. So I hope to see you there. All of your assignments and everything you need to do will be clearly listed in the Google Classroom, and I will see you guys soon. Bye.